Hi guys, today is my favourite day of the month. It's hair dye day. Now I generally dye my hair every couple of months because that's when my roots start to really show. But today was my first go using the brush and bowl. So keep watching to see how I got on. So this is the hair dye that I've used for the last few goes. It's live colour in deep red, and I generally sort of aim for the middle shade on the sort of colour swatch. At the moment I got this from Superdrug for $4.79 each, I think it was, but it is quite often on sale for say 2 for £9. So I've already got my rather fetching rubber gloves on, as you can see. So it comes in a developer lotion and colour cream. And it's my first go using the plastic bowl. So I've never used it before, but I've been watching hairdressing videos for the last few years. I love Brad Mondo. So I like to think I sort of have a rough idea of what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to start by just squeezing in the colour cream. And I'll do it on my little table. So I might disappear. So that is what the colour cream looks like when it's in its neat form. I put 2 tubes of it in here, by the way, because it says if your hair's past shoulder length or particularly thick, you need 2 or maybe more bottles. So what I'm going to do now is add the developer lotion. Very full. Right, I'm just going to crack open a window as well because my bathroom's quite small. Make a mess. And then I'm just going to mix it. Now, over the years, I have had my hair a variety of colours. I've had purple, my natural brown, and ginger while I was pregnant. And I always find myself coming back to dark red. Can't imagine why. So that's it all mixed up. Now I did practice this without any of the liquid in, but it feels like it's going to be very different when it's actually got stuff in. So I'm just trying to think how's best to do it. I'm going to start off by just painting it straight onto my roots. On both sides. I'm hoping this will be neater than how I normally do it. I normally just leave the liquid in the bottle and then just sort of squirt it roughly onto my head and try and sort of hope for the best, basically. So it's going to be interesting to see how actually painting it on works. And then I'm going to section it. It should be a nice neat line. And then do the same. Painting down and then painting up. So that's the easy bit done. I've now got to attempt to do the underneath and the back of my head. So bear with me. Now I know what you're all thinking. Why is she rubbing the hair dye in? I know that is frowned upon, but I just find it helps make sure that, especially around the back of my hair, that the hair dye is just completely spread through as evenly as possible, because I've got very dark roots and I do not want to have big dark splodges. So what I'm going to do now is leave it for 20 minutes and then I will come back and do the mid-lengths of my hair. They're not too bad colour-wise, they've just faded slightly. So I will leave it on for a further 10 minutes then. Now, don't ask me why. Normally, I use the hair dye one bottle at a time, but for some reason, I did both of them. So it's going to be interesting to see, because in the 20 minutes that I've left the dye on my roots, it's been sat here developing. So let's do it. So I'm going to paint the mid-lengths and ends of my hair, and then what I usually do is any sort of excess dye, I just sort of massage it through my whole hair, because I like to use the entire amount, because I figured there's a reason why they put it in there. Now, you might not believe it, but that was actually a lot less messy than when I normally do it. So I'm quite impressed with using the bowl for the first time. So what I'm going to do now is get myself cleaned up. I'm then going to leave the dye on for 10 minutes. Then what I will do is I will rinse my hair with sort of cool to warm water, because I don't want the colour to strip too quickly. And then where I normally shampoo, I'm going to co-wash using the Child's Farm conditioner, because it has a little bit of protein in it. I will then follow my normal styling routine, and I will post a link in the description box for those of you that haven't seen my wash day routine video. Then once I've done all that, I will be back to show you guys the final results. Ta-da! So, this is the final result. You can see that awful dark line of root regrowth is no more. Now, like I said before, it was the first time I've used that bowl and brush set, and I like to think, it might not have looked it, but using it for the very first time, I like to think I did quite a good job. So the way I normally dye my hair is I have the developer bottle and I just sort of squirt a line, rub it in, and then sort of roughly section it. Where I had a bit more control over where I was putting the dye, my scalp, I've noticed, isn't as pink as it has been in the past. I have posted on my Instagram a video of how I normally do it. It was sort of around Christmas time, I think. And if you wanted to go watch it, I will post a link down in the description box, but be warned, it is one of the first tutorials I ever filmed. And it's not the best quality, shall we say. In the beginning, I had no makeup on. I was just using a little crappy clip-on ring light. Had my specs on so you could see everything reflected. So, yeah. Now, if I turn to the back, I like to think it's fairly evenly coloured. While I was drying it, I haven't been able to see any sort of dark spots, but you know, this shot will tell. So just to reiterate what I did, I rinsed out the hair dye with sort of warm to cool water. I would say it was slightly just above body temperature. And the reason why I use warm to cool as opposed to hot water is you don't want to strip the colour out straight away. I then used Child's Farm conditioner to co-wash my hair. I then did my usual wash day routine as normal. And as I said before, I will post a video link down in the description box. So what I love about this particular hair dye, Live Colour in Deep Red, is even though my hair is very dark brown, I always find, even from the first use, I had quite a vivid result. And I've noticed the more I use it, my hair is just getting brighter and brighter. My whole sort of thing is that I am on a very tight budget. So I'm always looking for sort of the cheapest way of doing it whilst getting the best results. And like I said earlier on in the video, the hair dye that I used is usually around £9 for 2 boxes, either full price or it's usually 2 for £9 in Boots or Superdrug. The instructions on the leaflet are also actually really clear. You've got the diagrams and it's got the full head application or the root regrowth application, and it's just got step-by-step instructions, so you can't really go wrong with it. It's also not too complicated, so if you're sort of fairly new to dyeing your hair, it'd be quite simple for you to use. You've got the 2 bottles of liquid, you've got the colour cream and the developer lotion, you just mix them together and Bob's your uncle. Everything in the box is clearly labelled as well with either a 1, a 2 or a 3. Now the 3 is for the care conditioner, and I don't generally use that just because I find some of the ingredients are a bit iffy if you're going to be following the curly girl method strictly. There's usually either a drying alcohol or some sort of silicone, so I just scrap that and I use my own conditioner. Now, I know and I'm well aware that box dye is not the best option for your hair. It's got an unknown level of developer, so you don't know exactly what you're putting on your hair. Having said that, not everybody can afford to be going to the hairdresser every 2 months. When the one time I got my hair coloured professionally, it cost me £50 and I didn't even particularly like the result. I ended up going and getting a box dye to put over the top of it. This is my sort of mantra, I also listen to my hair, so I counterbalance any sort of baddies in the ingredients accordingly. So I will use regular protein treatments because I'm aware that using permanent hair dye can cause damage. I also co-wash as opposed to shampoo straight after because I'm aware that dyeing your hair can also dry it out, so I want to focus on putting some of that moisture back in. It's all about a balancing act. Now, with it being a box dye, I will admit that I don't always get the results. I will be the first person to admit that. I don't know what it is about my hair, whether it's so dark naturally or it absorbs colour more quickly, but I do often find that when I use a new shade, it's always much darker than what I'm anticipating, even if I go 1 shade lighter as recommended. So, for example, in lockdown 1, I tried to dye my hair purple. I used the same brand as I'm using, the Live colour that promises 3 levels of lift, but it just made my hair go black. So I was quite apprehensive about using this red hair dye for the first time, but I got a fairly vivid result. It was quite a bit darker than this because, as I said, my hair always goes darker to begin with, but I was still fairly happy with the results. And as I said, every time I use it, that colour gets a little bit more vivid and it now matches, I would say, in the sunlight, probably sort of the middle box on the swatch, on the back of the box. And that concludes my box dye video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I always feel a million times better once I've dyed my hair. I don't know about anyone else. Let me know in the comments what your ideal shade is. As I said earlier, mine is always red. No matter what other colour I go, I always go back to red. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to see more content. I'll see you soon. Bye bye. How long's that been recorded for? Oh well. One for the blooper reel. Where's my other bottle? There it is. Oh, nose is so itchy. As I said, I will post a link down in the description box for that video. Now, with it being a box dye, I will admit